Boxing Ego here. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon on the top of your screen to get notified when the latest new content drops. 1. You better not duck me, THON. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. I'm working hard. 2017 boxing is lit. A lot to talk about. Now, just real quick, Atlanta rapper Young Jock, he just did this to his hair. I don't know why. It looks terrible. It looks like feathers. It looks like the Kellogg's Rooster from Corn Flakes. Cheddar and sour cream, ruffle head ass. I don't know what man would do this. This looked like the auntie at the cookout to make the best potato salad, but I had to go in and roast him. But in boxing news, Thurman just posted this, and he called out Manny Pacquiao. And just so you guys know, I tagged Thurman, so you know it's not just me jawsing. This is his verified page, evident by the blue check mark, and you see it. Thurman says, "Bring on Pac-Man," right? And you see this right here, the Boxing Ego watermark, because I made the graphic. So it's cool to see my graphic, the Ego graphic, get some love. Now, as far as the fight, I love it. Thurman, just to give you guys the scoop in case you haven't heard, Thurman is actually, he's not just doing a shameless call out or a random call out of Pacquiao. The reason he's calling him out, one, he's a champion. He just unified with Danny Garcia, did what he had to do to collect Garcia's WBC belt, and he's already the WBA champion. And there was a media day yesterday in Los Angeles. Freddie Roach did a ton of interviews, always has a ton to say, and he says Thurman, he did what he had to do. He looked cool. He looked solid. He didn't look great in his last fight. I'm paraphrasing what Freddie Roach was saying. He said, but he won, and we would love that fight for Pacquiao. I would love to see Pacquiao fight Thurman. He said, or Danny Garcia. He said if they sent the contract for those fights, either one, I would sign it immediately. Now, that's the news. So this is Thurman responding to Freddie Roach. He's saying, oh, send the contract. Now, I got to give my honest opinion, like I always do, new media. I don't believe that Pacquiao's team, be it Freddie Roach, be it Bob Arum, be it Pacquiao, I don't know, but I don't think they would fight a guy like Thurman. And the reason I don't think is because history has shown in Pacquiao's later career, as he moved up to welterweight, right? He hasn't fought. When's the last time Pacquiao has fought a young, hungry lion, like a person like a Thurman, a guy with power, a guy who's undefeated, a guy with the ability to box and move with that type of power, just somebody who has that type of momentum? I really can't think of a time, like, I'm not being facetious. I literally cannot think of a time in recent memory. You could say he fought Floyd Mayweather, but Floyd is not a spring chicken. You know what I'm saying? Floyd is actually older than Pacquiao. You could say he fought Brandon Rios, but Rios was coming off of a loss to Mike Alvarado in a rematch. So again, if maybe I'm forgetting somebody, you guys let me know who that young, hungry lion is. You could say Chris Algieri, but he fought him at a catch weight of, I think it was 143. Chris Algieri was coming off of a controversial win where his eye was nailed shut versus Ruslan Provodnikov, and then Pacquiao fought him in Macau, China. He didn't have that type of elite level experience. I mean, he barely scraped by Ruslan Provodnikov, who's a fighter with no defense. And another thing is, I don't consider Chris Algieri has heart, but I don't consider him a young, hungry lion at that point because he doesn't have power. He doesn't have the power to warrant Pacquiao's respect. Thurman does. Garcia does. If you get in there with Garcia and try to do too much or throw too many combinations, he could catch you in exchange. Thurman, we already know he has power. Whether it's one-time power to knock everybody out or whatnot, that remains to be seen. But I really feel he got Danny Garcia's respect in the first round, and Danny Garcia kind of became gun shy for and had to work himself into the fight. And it wasn't until Thurman kind of let off the gas and boxed the extra smart fight in terms of using a lot of movement that he knew Garcia wouldn't be able to catch him with some kind of haymaker home run shot. then that's when Danny Garcia had his only success. Is basically when Keith Thurman switched his game plan and slowed down a bit. So, like I said, when is the last time we've seen Pacquiao fight someone like a Thurman? We've seen Floyd do it. We could say Floyd versus Canelo. Canelo was 13 years younger than Floyd Mayweather. He was a champion. He was young. He's strong, and you could say he lacked experience. But that's more of an excuse because he just beat Austin Trout, who was undefeated. He beat Shane Mosley, and he had names like that on his resume. Josito Lopez. So he still had dealt well with main eventing and stuff like that. He had fought on Mayweather undercards previously. You can't say the same for a Chris Algieri. Chris Algieri again doesn't have power like Canelo, and Chris Algieri had not fought on several Mayweather undercards and been built up and got his confidence like Canelo, right? Even Maidana wasn't super young, but he was younger than Floyd. He rehydrated a lot, and he's an awkward guy with known power. Victor Ortiz, coming off the Berto win, he had quit versus Maidana, but he had still fought Maidana, stuff like that. He had fought Lamont Peterson, so he had more experience. So again, I don't believe it. I really feel like this is just my opinion. People confuse opinion that is justified with hating. I have no reason to hate on Pacquiao. Pacquiao has never done anything to me, but you have a lot of radical fans, and if you say something that they don't want to hear, even if they know it's true, then they get offended. They say, "Oh, you're hating, Ego." I'm not hating. Pacquiao has entertained me for several years. Pacquiao has an illustrious career. He has a good resume. He's fought good names throughout his career. However, in the later portion of his career, a lot of his wins, he fought people off of losses. He fought at some kind of weight stipulation, whether it was a catch weight or it was a guy who didn't have time to acclimate to a no weight division. Chris Algieri, Brandon Rios was coming off a loss, fought Pacquiao, moved up from 140 to 147. You could say, oh, he had the frame. Brandon Rios, he's a big dude. He had the frame to clearly move up to 47. But you don't just go into a fight with a former number one pound for pound when Floyd Mayweather was retired guy in your first fight, move up 7 pounds off of a loss like Brandon Rios and expect to probably beat him, especially when just the stylistic matchup, even though Pacquiao was coming off a knockout, it still favors Pacquiao. I gave Rios a shot in that fight just because I didn't know where Pacquiao, his head would be, how he'd bounce back off of the Marquez knockout. That's the only reason. But stylistically, the matchup always favored Pacquiao, right? So that's my point. Tim Bradley clean house at 140. He fought really everyone minus maybe an Amir Khan, and he moved up, but he wasn't a known real big puncher at 40, and he moved up and fought Pacquiao. Ton of catch weights. Margarito, the De La Hoya came down a whole division. Cotto was at a catch weight. Algieri was at a catch weight. You know what I'm saying? I understand Pacquiao's not the biggest dude, but there's a lot of weight stipulation. So I take nothing away from Pacquiao, his career. I do believe fuck them packets. I don't take anything away from him, but I call it like I see. I keep it a buck. I keep it 100 like I'm running a fever. And that's just what it is. Every time Pacquiao goes to fight somebody in recent memory, they always throw out big names that we want to see him fight. Oh, Amir Khan, Adrian Broner, guys like even Lucas Matisse or whoever. They're just all these names that get thrown in the mix. And oh, Terrence Crawford, he might fight Crawford. He might fight Keith Thurman, Errol Spence. All these names get thrown in the mix, and then he fights Chris Algieri. He fights Jeff Horn. He fights Jesse Vargas. It doesn't make sense. So I appreciate Keith Thurman for his willingness to compete with the best, but I really don't see Pacquiao getting and giving him that opportunity. I do not see that, because that style would be definitely challenging for Pacquiao. And see, this is the thing. When I talk boxing, I talk real boxing, right? Meaning, I could tell you how I feel at each whether I'm right or wrong. I could tell you why. A lot of people can't. A lot of people can't intelligently, without calling names and stuff, they can't break down why fighter A beats fighter B or why fighter B beats fighter A, right? Keith Thurman, bottom line is this: even if you have Pacquiao, and even if you have Pacquiao beating him, Pacquiao would have to work in that fight, right? Because Thurman's style and power is not a gimme. You know what I mean? But you have idiots who just say, "Oh, Pacquiao easy, Pacquiao knocks him out." You know what I mean? And realistically, Thurman, he has a brain. You can hear how he articulates his words, like when he's doing commentary or doing interviews. He has a brain, and that's what it is. So realistically, you don't know how he's gonna fight, because I thought he made the Shawn Porter fight more difficult because he was more in the trenches. But then with Danny Garcia, he let off the gas. So, you know what I mean? He could at least, he has the wherewithal to even do that, to even switch up the game plan, because he probably watched the tape with the Porter fight and said, hey, you know what? I made this fight harder than I needed to be, and with the wrong style. So with Danny Garcia, you know what? I'm a come out strong, get my respect in early, land some heavy shit, and then as the fight tapers on, I know he can't catch me, and I know he can't cut off the ring well. So I'm gonna, you know what I mean? I'm gonna just box and move, and then just pick my spots intelligently. So to me, that shows that Keith Thurman has the ability to think and work on different things. Even in the Diego Chavez fight, that showed me a lot, because he was losing the battle he was trying to fight initially. He was trying to bang with Diego Chavez, and it just wasn't a good look. It was fun and exciting, but he got back to the boxing, and then that's where he had his success and ended up stopping Diego Chavez, who's not been stopped by anyone else but Thurman. So before people get on here and say, oh, Pacquiao easy, Pacquiao destroys him, tell me how he'll destroy him, because I see it being a competitive fight. People say Pacquiao, oh, he'll knock out Thurman, but I've seen Thurman hurt. Pacquiao hasn't had a knockout since 2009. So realistically, I don't know who I would pick, but I would probably favor Keith Thurman. But I know Pacquiao has a shot, because Thurman hasn't seen that straight left just like Pacquiao throws and stuff. So to me, it's a good fight. But again, this is almost a waste of my breath, because I do not, despite what Freddie Roach said, I do not see that fight happening. And mark my words, like, I mean, it's just too much of a pattern with Pacquiao. Like, yeah, we'll fight Crawford, and then you get all this stuff, and then Michael Conks will say, oh, we hate his style, we would never give him the opportunity. You know what I mean? So even though Freddie Roach is like, oh, send the contract to my guy, and my hey son, Pacquiao, I feel Pacquiao has a good chance to destroy you one time. He's gonna say all that, but I want to see it. Let's see it, because I've done videos in the past. Keith Thurman's been calling out Pacquiao to no avail. So I don't see it. I think, be it Pacquiao or his handlers, they're not trying to put him in there with that. And again, I'm not sold that Pacquiao would even knock down, let alone knock out, a guy like Thurman with what Thurman does well, when he's not knocking out Chris Algieri. I mean, you could say, oh, 6 knockdown. It's not a knockout. He's not knocking out Jesse Vargas, and he's not knocking out Brandon Rios, right? And Brandon Rios stylistically is way more tailor-made for Pacquiao than Thurman. Just my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think. I want to see it. I doubt it'll happen. That's my honest assessment, and it's based on Pacquiao's matchmaking recently. Like, why'd you fight Bradley a 3rd time? Who really wanted to see that? You know what I mean? You could have given Thurman the opportunity then, or Danny Garcia when he was champion, right? Amir Khan even. All these are better fights, but it'll be important to see who he fights next. A lot of people get mad at when I make videos, oh, you hate Pacquiao, but we'll see who he fights next. Drop it in the comment section. Make sure you share the video, like the video as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off.